my name is Sam. Thanks for checking out this video. If you get to the end and liked it, then subscribe, bell notification, and thumbs up the video. In case you don't watch my wrap-up videos, we're in a different position for the, at least next probably week or two, because I have a sprained ankle. So I'm in a cast, so can't really stand up for more than like 2 to 3 minutes at a time. So, yeah, other than that, I had a really good December actually. I was pretty controlled. I didn't really buy anything for myself out of pure impulse. Anything I bought was watching for sales, and then I had a friend give me some stuff too, so it was actually a really good controlled month. I'm trying to save money because I am going on a bit of a trip in January, February, and one of the places I want to try and hit up when I'm in Ontario is the Book Outlet physical store, because I've never actually been there despite the fact that I lived in St. Catharines for like 4 years. I wasn't an avid reader then, and I didn't know it existed. Maybe it didn't exist physically at that time when I went there at that time period. I don't know. Whatever it is, I'm excited to actually physically go. So I'm trying to save money and just keep a list of books that I want to try and get there instead when I physically go. So I didn't get... This is like one of my more controlled months. I think I kept it under 10 books, even with presents, so I'm pretty proud of myself. So these are the books that I managed to accumulate in the month of December. So first off, The Arc of Scavenged the Stars by Tara Sim showed up at my work. I'm so excited about this. It's supposed to be, I don't know if it's an influence or sorry, it's a gender swapped retelling. I kept confusing if it was an influence or a retelling. It is a retelling of The Count of Monte Cristo. That, I like that we're like, I know retellings are never really gonna die in YA, but I can only take so many more, like Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, all those. I'm capped out on those, basically. I need you to do something different. Mess with some Shakespeare, mess with some, you know, less obvious classics like the Jane Austen, other than Jane Austen's, that sort of stuff. So The Count of Monte Cristo is an awesome one. I have actually read this. It was years ago, the Monte Cristo, sorry. I honestly don't know that I remember most of it, but I remember I read it because it came free on my Kobo. I used to have a Kobo e-reader when I was an undergrad, and it was one of the free books loaded on there, so I read it. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen with this. I love Timekeeper. I haven't really heard many reviews of this. I think the ones that I have seen, they're kind of mediocre-ish at best, but, you know, I don't think people really raved about Timekeeper either, and I feel like that's an underappreciated gem. So I'm excited to go into this. Hopefully I enjoy it. I think there's a couple book boxes doing this as the title as well, so I'm curious to see what the vast majority of people think, but I'm really excited to give this a go. My beautiful, wonderful friend, Melanie, who, I don't know, she'll probably do something in 10 minutes to like annoy me and I'll take it back and not call her beautiful or wonderful. She got me a couple presents for the holidays, including The Deathless Girls by Kieran Millwood Hargrave. This book is beautiful. I don't know if it's out in North America, if it is or not. Get the UK cover. Okay, so there's a bunch of like a brown parts of it is foiled, almost like a rose gold foil. Then just like the cover itself is freaking gorgeous. The end pages, if I can get it to lift, the under dust jacket has that brass rose gold like iron fence work. The spine is beautiful as well. Like it's throughout, this flower design is throughout the entire freaking book. Front title pages with like the snakes. Very much just reminds me of like Garden of Eden. And even like the glossary. Like it's just so beautifully designed. There's no way that they did this in the North American publishers. North American publishers are lazy and cheap, so I always just see better quality effort put into the UK covers. So I'm so excited to read this. I know that there's 2 girls they're taken before they're divining, which is like they're like a step of like growth, I guess, in the community. So they're taken before then and become like, it sounds like housemaids or something like that to the person that kidnaps them. One of the girls potentially sounds like she may have a bit of a female-female romance. Then they find out about a dragon. It sounds really cool. The book is also giving me kind of a tiny bit vibes of Sisters of the Winterwood, which I loved that book. Another underappreciated gem. So I hope I love this, and I'm really excited to be reading this ASAP. Also, even if you're more of like I don't know if I want to buy the physical book, maybe you have space limitations, check Audible. The audiobook for this on Audible was $8 American. I feel like that's probably an incorrect pricing at their point. I have a feeling someone probably put the pricing incorrectly in their system on Audible, but whatever whatever the reason being, it's on there for $8. Melanie also knew how much I detested the US covers of the exact opposite, or covers? The US cover of the exact opposite of Okay. Okay, I'm sorry, but it's a zipper vagina. The book is fantastic. It's amazing. I can't wait for A Girl Called Shameless to come here and get released. I don't know if there's a release date in the works for that one. So, I just hated the covers. Why in the heck were these options available? Because it came out in the UK in like 2018, and then like I think 6 months later they released the first book in the North America. And instead of being like, oh, look at these hella pretty book covers, it's getting rave reviews, why don't we just stick with them? They're like, no, we should put this weird blue and then like a pink zipper vagina on it. Like I don't understand the thought process of that. This is just far more appealing on a bookshelf and like in a bookstore, in a library. I didn't understand the US cover like at all. Just at all. Yeah, so I've read the exact opposite of Okay, and the sequel, The Girl Called Shameless. I haven't read it yet, but it's the continuation of Izzy O'Neill's story, so I'm so excited about that. I feel like these are really important books if you have maybe girls that are like coming up in those high school years, with everything going on nowadays with how we treat women versus men when it comes to sex, consensual sex, how we treat women in school with dress codes and double standards, cyberbullying, all these different things. I feel like this does an amazing job of trying to tackle all that stuff. And the main character is by no means a perfect person, and that's very much addressed, but it's also of like, but why is she deserving of all this hate to have consensual sex? This doesn't make sense. And I loved this call out. It just made me like, I wanted to like yell at the patriarchy and scream at people of like, yeah! So I'm excited to read A Girl Called Shameless. Really, really excited. And I'm so happy I have the UK covers on my shelf because they're just freaking gorgeous. There's a llama and sloths on the back of this one. Like, it's just, I'm so excited that I have these. So Melanie is so, so wonderful. While at Value Village, I was kind of startled. I saw it on the bookshelf. The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield. I have put this in my book outlet book cart like 4 times, and it was actually in my Black Friday book cart that I tried to put through that didn't process, and I didn't notice until after, and I was like, well, all the books that I really, really wanted were sold out. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll just leave this in my cart. When I go, maybe I'll find it. Found it at my local Value Village. There's like nothing wrong with it. There's no markings in it. It doesn't look like, honestly, it was open, to be, if I'm totally being real. I just know I posted on my Instagram that I had picked it up, and someone DM'd me and was like, oh my god, that's my favorite book. And I was like, oh, I love hearing that when people are like, I'm invested in your investment of this. I'm that way with like A Curious Beginning, right? So, yeah, this sounds really, really cool. I don't remember like when this came out. I just remember I've seen it like around for a while, but there's an author, Vida Winter. She had a collection of stories, I guess, come out. There's 12 stories, and then there's this like mysterious 13th tale that people think happened, or there was, but hasn't been published. And someone is doing like, it sounds like almost like an autobiography on Vida before she's like supposed to pass away. And she's telling the story, so I think it's alluding to that this is her 13th tale. So it sounds really cool, like an adult literary one that I'd be really interested in. I'm always interested in books about stories, books about libraries, books about librarians, all that stuff. When you look at like anything I've read on my bookshelves, like The Binding, The Invisible Library, Pages & Co., all that stuff messing with like, not just using like history as like, not just using a bookstore as a setting, but using bookstore as a part of the story. I'm trash for that sort of stuff. So I want to read this in the next, like, first half of the year or so, I think. My beautiful, wonderful friend Melanie also bought me The Phalus Thieves by Mary Pearson. I was getting so frustrated that I hadn't gotten this or seen any sales really anywhere for it. Henry Holt outprices themselves in the market in Canada. Their books are normally like $26, $27. They're just at the way above my max price range, so I always have to just wait for them to be on pre-order sale of like $20 or so, which doesn't happen often, or wait for them to go on Book Outlet. They just overprice themselves out of the market in Canada. So this is a sequel to Dance of Thieves, and like Remnant Chronicles is like a hit or miss with some people. I don't think it's particularly like a unique YA series, but it's a good YA series. That trilogy, The Remnant Chronicles, I'm absolute trash for it, despite the fact that I hate the covers because they have the stupid whitelist girl in a dress on them. But whitelist? Stupid, what is it? That's not a word. Stupid, faceless white girl in a dress on the cover. That's it. I'm so kind of annoyed, not kind of annoyed. I'm so very annoyed of publishers using that. But I have like totally overlooked that for that series because I just love the series so much. So this is a spin-off set in the same world after the events of the Remnant Chronicles. The main characters from the Remnant Chronicles, the ending king and queen, are in this as sort of background characters. So our main characters are completely new and fresh. You don't necessarily have to read the Remnant Chronicles to read this, but I don't know that it would, like, the world development and everything in the Remnant Chronicles is what I think would give you, like, a lot of the basis of this. So I think it would be best to read it. I definitely want to reread Dance of Thieves before I pick this up because I've reread the Remnant Chronicles too many times to the point where I'm like, I don't know that I'm gonna be able to, like, in my brain separate anything that happened in Dance of Thieves with the Remnant Chronicles. And if I start getting confused because some of the characters do pop back up, I'm gonna reread Dance of Thieves and then pick up Thal of Thieves. I'm so happy I have this. I was getting so freaking frustrated that I didn't have it in my hands. The cover itself is beautiful. All the gold stuff is all foiled and the black is a little bit glossy. They have this gorgeous map in it, but there's nothing really done on the under dust jacket. It's just like a plain blue and like the same design that's on the spot on the dust jacket is under here. That's it. Henry Holt just doesn't do the book designs on most of their books to justify their $27 price point. It's just way out of left field, out of reasonable pricing. That's just facts. But I love Mary Pearson. I love this. And I'm so excited to read this. I don't know when I'm going to do them in the same month back to back. I have been waiting since this book came out to find it on sale because in Canada, this bitch came out at $60. Okay? Even the like day of release or something like that, it never dipped below $50 or something like that. I know a bunch of people who were like, oh, Barnes & Noble, it was half off the day, and then if you were a member, you also got like an additional. So people got it for like $20. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Really? And then in Canada, they're like $60, no sales. Like, what the hell? I know J.K. Rowling's been a kind of a, for lack of a better term, an absolute horrendous person in the last like year. She says stuff, she does stuff, especially on Twitter. I don't support anything she does or says, but I'm at the point of like, she could literally, like, it makes no difference to her at this point if we're buying the Harry Potter stuff. She's made so much money from the movie franchises, from a spin-off, from the Harry Potter world, all this stuff. Literally, the money from these books, I can't imagine the royalties really mean much to her. I know it would mean a lot to an illustrator, though. So that was my thinking of buying this, that illustrations is a hard world to get into and a hard world to get consistent work in, and then trying to make a living in that can be awfully difficult. So my thinking was, I'm buying this to go to Jim Kay, and as well as I started reading these books when I was a kid. I remember when they were first coming out, I remember reading the first few books as like an 8-year-old or whatever, before I ever got into the world of knowing who authors are. And unfortunately, we live in a world where there are some authors who write some amazing books, and those authors are deplorable people who have done either illegal things or just like morally bankrupt things, or sold out, or forgotten who they are, or they write books with these messages and then act in complete contrast and conflict with those messages, like J.K. Rowling. So I'm disappointed in her, but I feel like I've just said that a lot in the last few years with everything she says and does. So my justification for this was to support an illustrator, Jim Kay. And just like, he does such beautiful work in this series. Like his full page ones are what are really, really amazing. I want to try and find this one. Oh, here it is. Yeah! Like this. It's beautiful. I was wondering how big this thing was going to be too, because like Goblet of Fire is a chunkier book. So they definitely just have fewer like full page illustrations without text. There's more of those on the first few books, even though like this one is still heavy. Like it's a heavy book. So I'm excited to give this a read. And hopefully, I normally like just reread the book, the illustrated version, as soon as I get it in before I put it back on my shelf. So hopefully I can get to this one in like March. I also, when I was at Value Village, managed to find a pretty cheap copy of The Hoad King by Josiah Bancroft. This is the third book in the Senlin Ascends. I think it's supposed to be a quartet. The fourth book doesn't have a release date. I think it's slotted for 2020 or 2021 now. I read Senlin Ascends, the first book, absolutely loved it. It's a very messed up book. I can see why some people would love it and some would hate it. I definitely don't think it's something that if you're like, oh, I really only like YAs. It's a very much adult fantasy book. I'll definitely definitely give you that. And then it's weird and quirky on top of that, so it can be hit or miss with some people. So The Hoad King is the third book. Senlin Ascends is the first book. Then The Arm of the Sphinx, yes, is the second book. I got Senlin Ascends through the library, so I've been waiting and watching for sales and second hands of the paperbacks of this series. So I finally found The Hoad King. I don't know why someone had The Hoad King and not the other two there. I don't know why someone would buy the first two of a series if all three of the series were there at Value Village, so I don't know what happened there. So I'm going to keep an eye out in there and hopefully can find books 1 and 2 soon, and then once book 4 actually comes out, I'm gonna binge them all together. But it's honestly in great condition. The only kind of like tear snag is on the front cover. There's like a slight separating of there, but other than that, there's no markings, there's no coffee stains, nothing. So I'm really happy I got my hands on this for like $5. And lastly, probably the book that I'm arguably most excited about. My beautiful, wonderful friend, Melanie, got me the UK copy of The Binding by Bridget Collins. I read the arc of this and absolutely loved it. I think the arc's still up there. Potentially still up there. Because I was waiting to get this. I saw it in bookstores in Canada after I saw my friend got it online. She lives in Europe, and I was like, oh my god. And I opened it and I was like, bitch, are you kidding? We didn't get any of the design elements. They just took the cover and then did nothing with it in North America, and then they charge us so much money for books. Like, why do they do this bullshit shenanigans in North America? Like I don't want to support Amazon. Jeff Bezos is evil, but like, at least he gives us book depository, right? Like, so I got the UK copy, so everything that's got a gold hue basically is foiled. The key is also lifted. The spine is just beautiful gold foiling, and then the back, the end pages as well is really, really very like and it coincides a lot with the text inside the actual story. Is like a kind of like an older monograph kind of thing, and then the under dust jacket has like this beautiful iron gate work. We didn't have any of this on the North American covers, on the front and the back. Like, bitch, what? It's a wonderful book. I would highly recommend it. Even if you want to get the North American cover that doesn't have the pretty stuff. But it's amazing. It also has a male-male romance, which I wasn't expecting going in because I didn't see it labeled anywhere with LGBT. Emmett Farmer is working in the fields when a letter arrives summoning him to begin to work as an apprenticeship. He will work for the bookbinders, a vocation that arouses fear, superstition, and prejudice, but one neither he nor his parents can really afford to refuse. He will learn to handcraft beautiful volumes, and within each he will capture something unique and extraordinary. A memory. If there's something to you want to forget, he can help you. If there's something you need to erase, he can assist you. Your past will be stored safely in a book, and you will never remember your secrets, however terrible. Which sounds great. Which sounds like a great concept. However, the good and the bad in our lives help make us who we are. And just because it's given to the binders doesn't mean it's going to stay with the binders. It could be sold. It could be robbed and stolen from them. It could be burned in a house fire. There's a bunch of potential buts in this that all happen in this book. It's fantastic. So those are all the books that I got in the month of December. Thank you so very much to my beautiful, wonderful friend Melanie. Shout out to Value Village, and awesome to Indigo for having a sale finally on the Harry Potter books. Like I said, it was normally $60 in Canada, and then I got it on sale for $26 with like a book sale and then a coupon and then something else. So like, just make your books affordable, people, and I'll buy them. So make sure to check the description box down below. I will link all of these books to their Goodreads pages, and I will also link all of my social media. If you follow me, I will follow you back, and let me know down in the comment section what you got for the holidays, book related or non-book related.